Lots of sitting here having my morning coffee, reading through the news, and I get my news from the most reputable of sources. Today is the Sun UK edition, and I saw this article. Dear Deidre, my marriage is dull, so I had sex with our broadband engineer, and then it all went wrong. Well, yeah, that's likely going to happen. So let's read and see what this is all about. Dear Deidre, sex with the guy who installed my broadband. Broadband, you don't really anticipate that from broadband engineers, you know. But let's find out. Let's go. With my sex with the guy who installed my broadband was an extra service I hadn't bargained for. Well, no, I don't think that's part of the contract. He made me feel alive again, but then it all went wrong. I'm a housewife with grown-up kids. Well, get a job then. And I get bored being at home alone all day. My marriage is dull too. Well, if your kids are all grown up and you're perfectly capable and, you know, you're not crippled and disabled, you know, then get a job. What are you doing? I'm bored all day, so I'm going to sleep with the broadband guy. Get a job, lady. There was a team of 3 putting in fiber optic cables in the road, but one of them knocked on my door about my order. He was gorgeous. I offered them all cups of tea, but he came inside for his and to talk about my installation. Is that a lot of euphemisms, is there? There was some type of weird sexual chemistry between us. He told me he was married and 40 with 2 little kids. I'm 47. Well, you know what? You're both too old for this sort of carry on. Grow up. Over the next week, he popped by every day for his cuppa. And the chat turned to flirtation and then into talk about sex. Well, you know, once that got to that, the conversation turned to that, you should have cut it. You should have cut it, but you didn't, did you? One afternoon, he thanked me for the brew and kissed me before he left. Dirty dog. He didn't want his tea the next day. Instead, he took my hand and led me upstairs and we had sex on my bed. And you know damn well he'd been telling his mates about it all week. You know, I've almost got this one. You watch. Just watch out. Dirty bastard. He knew exactly how and where to touch me. He drove me crazy. That's because you weren't the first lady he had done this to. From then on, he'd text me when he was working in the area and drop in for an hour for sex. Oh. Our deal was that he would always contact me and not the other way around. But after he went quiet for a couple of weeks, I called him and left a message. It's because you didn't get the message, so you sent a message. Man, this is annoying me, this one. He returned my call the next week in tears, saying his wife had heard my message and thrown him out. Good. It was all going wrong. I felt so bad. His birthday was coming up. A week later, I sent him an apology message. Soon after, I bumped into him in the street and was delighted. Yeah, bumped into him. Like, I guarantee you, this woman stalked him. She stalked him. You never bump into this guy ever, but you all of a sudden bump into him now? Yeah, whatever. But when I approached him, he was abusive towards me, and I was shocked. He says I've ruined his life. Like, how obtuse do you have to be shocked at that? I have feelings for him, though. How can I win him back? You can't, lady. You can't. You've ruined his life. You've ruined your life. You've ruined both 2 marriages. You've upset a bunch of kids. My God, this woman, how can I win him back? How can you're married? Why are you trying to win back the broadband engineer that comes by and just uses you for sex every now and again? Jesus Christ. But anyway, let's see what Deirdre says. Where is it? Deirdre says, you don't even try. Good. You've brought this heartache on yourself. But that said, your husband and his wife didn't deserve this. No, they did not. Forget about this man. Let's hope he's learned how damaging his behavior has been and is able to remain faithful now. Well, hopefully his wife kicked him out. Hopefully. Marriages and relationships can get stale, but it's entirely possible to invest in them and create something brilliant again. The catch is that both parties have to be prepared to work for it. If you're fed up, find a moment to tell your husband that you're unhappy and suggest some couples therapy. No, you need to tell your husband the truth. She needs to tell her husband the truth so he can kick her ass to the curb. That's what he needs to do. I'm sick of this. Like, I've been with my wife for over 20 years. You know, I'd never cheat on my wife. It's the most horrible thing you can ever do to a person, especially after that long too. You know, her husband's probably in his late 40s, early 50s. He's probably let himself go somewhat, you know, because he's been focusing on his job and his family and stuff like that. He's probably not in his best shape, you know, and now his wife's gone and cheated on him. So now he's going to be like in his 50s, going for a divorce possibly, you know, and having to restart his life again because you slept with the broadband engineer, and you could tell he's a player. You could tell he's a player, this guy. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's probably had women on every job he had. You know, he probably had every neighborhood where he was doing work. He probably had women. Probably all his guys did. And then, but these lonely housewives, they fall for it every single time. And then they cause a bunch of trouble. And in this case, she ruined his marriage as well, which is kind of good. I'm glad his marriage. Well, I'm not glad for his wife. I feel bad for the dude's wife. But I'm glad he's feeling pain. But it's ultimately the kids and the other spouses I feel sorry for. Basically, my opinion is, if you're married, it's your job to make it work. And if you feel like you can't make it work, then you need to be honest with your spouse and say, I don't think this is working, and then separate, and then go out and do the naughty business with other people if that's what you so wish to do. But you shouldn't be doing it while you're married. It's like, we not teach people ethics and morality and stuff these days. Like, when you're married to someone, you've made a commitment, right? You've declared yourself exclusive to each other, you know, and to break that, it's it's like the most egregious sin you could commit in a marriage is going outside your marriage and doing that sort of thing with another person. It's I hope these people have terrible lives. They sound like terrible people. The woman in particular, she's not concerned about the other guy's marriage or anything. She's just, or her marriage even. She's just worried about, can she get this younger man back to do his business with her while her husband's at work. It's disgusting. But anyway, that's all. I just wanted to talk about this Dear Deidre article I found in The Sun. I like reading these. The problem is all the good ones are behind a paywall. So, you know, if you know any good columns like this that aren't behind a paywall, let me know. Because, you know, I don't want to go on Reddit. I hate going on Reddit. Oh, it's annoying. The Reddit humor does my head in. How they just keep flogging those jokes over and over and over and over. It's not funny, guys. But anyway, that's all. That's all for today. On today's Cripple Rick on the internet. If you like this sort of content, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta.